Hi everybody, this is Chris. The title of this video is It's Easy to Learn Chinese. The simple message that I want to get out there is don't believe the hype that says that Chinese is an impossible challenge, that it's impossible to learn Mandarin or Cantonese. I may not be able to spread this message with just one video or with just my efforts so far, but I'm going to continue spreading the word here and on my website and doing what I can to help people out. By easy, I don't mean that you can become fluent in Chinese in just a few weeks or without any effort, but what I mean is getting to a functional level reading or speaking Mandarin Chinese is actually fairly straightforward. Now let me explain why. First of all is speaking the language. Chinese is simply a set of repeating constructions, phrases and patterns. Mandarin or Cantonese, the principle is the same. In this respect, learning to speak Chinese is similar to learning to speak another language. Putting a sentence together in Mandarin is just a case of putting blocks of units of meaning together. Once you're familiar with these blocks and once you're familiar with the way the language works, it's actually not that difficult. Nouns never change. There's no singular and plural, no cases, no declensions, or no imperfect subjunctives or difficult verb tenses to worry about. The main thing with the grammar in Chinese is the word order, understanding how the blocks of language fit together. And this is what I'm concentrating on in my teaching. Secondly is pronunciation. People often say that Chinese is difficult because it has tones. In other words, words can be pronounced or characters can be pronounced with different pitch contours and that gives them different meanings. But this doesn't make Chinese impossible to learn. If you can remember whether a word is masculine, feminine or neuter in another language, then you can remember the tone of a Chinese character. There's not so much more to remember than another language. Good pronunciation in Chinese is actually something that you can pick up with practice through a lot of listening or practicing speaking the language, listening to native speakers. It's not an insurmountable challenge. As for Cantonese, people still argue about exactly how many tones there are, depending on what they define as a tone. But you don't need to worry about this. A lot of people in Hong Kong have no idea what tone characters may be pronounced in. They just learn through repetition and practice, and it works perfectly well for them. And don't worry, because if you're speaking Chinese and you don't get your tones right all the time, people can usually understand what you're saying anyway. It's just a case of tuning your brain into the sounds and the rhythm of the language, just like any other. The next thing, I want to talk about is Chinese characters. People often say that learning characters is the hardest part of Chinese, and this is probably true, but don't let this distract you from the overall goal. Let's look at this in perspective. If you know 500 characters, that gives you 75% coverage of modern Chinese, and when you get up to 3,000 characters, you can read about 99% or more than 99% of the characters that you'll see in texts. Don't think about how many characters there are in total, because so many of them are so rare and you never see them. And next we can talk about learning to actually write the language. If you think that it's going to take a long time to learn 3,000 or fewer characters, then let me tell you this. Even a lot of Chinese people forget how to write certain characters all the time, and it doesn't even matter that much. Why? Because if you learn to recognize what a character looks like and remember how to pronounce it, that means you can already type on a computer or phone, because you just need to input the sound of the character. That means you can already quote unquote write. I live and I work in Beijing, and I barely even need to write by hand. If you're interested in character writing, then of course you can go about learning it slowly, and you can take this at your own pace. Do you think it's going to be impossible to recall such a lot of characters? Well, let me tell you why it's not. Because even in your own native language, you will see an object and you'll say the name of that object. An arbitrary name has been assigned to an object that you can see. If I put 3,000 objects in front of you, I dare say you could tell me the name of them in your own native language. Some of them might even look very similar to each other. That's why it's not that difficult to see a Chinese character and learn an arbitrary meaning or pronunciation for it. In fact, the principle is the same. So writing a character from scratch might be quite a challenge, but if you make learning the meanings and pronunciations of characters your focus, then you can actually pick up a lot in a short time, and you can become literate at reading Chinese much quicker than you would think. So the most important thing is don't get put off. Just get stuck into learning Chinese, and hopefully I'll be there to help you. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel and to check out my own website, fluentinmandarin.com. And if you want to be a part of my mission to get people speaking Chinese quicker and to make things easier, then keep following me because I'm going to have more coming.